I needed that one. That's all I need. I just needed, like you just said, someone to say, oh, you just do things a little different. Your mind thinks a little different. Now take that and do something positive with it. And what I learned from myself is that I'm not the smartest, but I got work ethic. So man, when I tell you, I just start, if somebody read a book, read a chapter and they read it one time, I would read it 10 times. So I started to develop my work ethic. I started to develop because I knew that was my key.
Hold on. You see, that's another thing. What's happening, y'all? This is Mike D with Black Fathers Now, where we're bringing the village to the brothers. Every couple of weeks, you can look forward to a quick inspirational message or a thought-provoking guest with knowledge and wisdom, all geared towards helping you be the best father that you can be. We're bringing the village to you. Now it's your turn to do something with what you learned. All right, y'all. Let's go. What's going on, fellas? This is Mike D, Mr. Double Down on You, your favorite personal development coach, with another episode of Black Fathers Now. Now, this episode, as I always say, they're special. This one is special because I got my friend, I got my man, I got Richard Williams on with me today. And Richard is a husband, he's a father, but he's also a 20-year NBA veteran in strength and conditioning, and he's currently the strength and conditioning coach for the New York Knicks. And the thing is, this brother has a story, he has a journey that's really going to inspire you to, you know what, never to give up on your dreams. So fellas and ladies listening to, and everybody else tuning in to the episode, let's welcome my man, Richard Williams. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me, man. I'm excited. You and my guy, you know me, we love to chop it up. So this would be great.
Yeah, man, dude, I'm gonna tell you, it was so crazy. Well, first shout out, my uncle Corey Bowdry, who connected the dots on us, connecting a few months back. But when you and I had our first conversation, my jaw dropped and I was just like, this brother here has a story that the world needs to hear. And so I'm glad we finally found time in between seasons and the draft and all that stuff for you to sit down and chop it up with me, man. Thank you.
No problem. Nah, thank you.
Word. So before we get into your amazing journey, on Black Fathers Now, we always start with our support system. We start with, who's important, the wind beneath our wings. In the movies, they always put the important people up front before the movie starts, right?
Yeah.
So give a shout out to your important folks, your support system that helps you to do what you do on a daily basis, man.
Man, I most definitely got a shout out to my parents and my brother, man. That's the beginning there for me, I always say this going to my dad. My dad always grew up in tough situations, but he always made sure we were taken care of, me and my brother. So and my mom's, the amount of sacrifices, I can't even, go there. It's too many. But because of them, I'm able to sit here and talk to you and to be able to do the things that I'm doing and can't imagine the things that I'm doing, but it's because of them. My brother's always been, he's my little brother, but he's always been my big brother. You know what I'm saying? He's the tough one. He's the one that he never lets me fall. And when I fall, he never lets me stay down on the ground too long. As soon as I fall, time to get up. Let's go. Let's do this. And then, the last shout out is my wife, man. I mean, golly, I get emotional when I think about her because she's been there literally from the time my story started to now. She's been there, good and bad, no matter what it is that, whatever sacrifices she needed to make for me, she made it and never, ever, ever regretted it.
Wow.
So that's my rock there. That's my role. So we roll. So I got to give a shout out to those people because those are the people who allow me to do what I'm doing now.
Wow. And, and again, it's so important, you started with parents, you started with your brother, and then it moved into your wife. And it is so important that we really shout out that support system because, as strong as we are, as strong as we have to be as Black men to navigate society, we don't do it alone. You know what I'm saying? It may feel like we're alone, but we never do it alone. And if you do it alone, rarely you're going to be successful doing it alone. And so, so I'm the same way, man. Parents, siblings, your
Yeah,
wife,
but
kids, man.
yeah.
Come on, man. That's where
And
it's
as you
at.
get older, you appreciate them more, man. You start to realize, like, especially when you become a parent, man, then you be like, golly, now I see what my parents were doing. You know, it's weird. It's a weird concept to me. Like I didn't notice it until I had kids.
Ooh.
And I just like, golly, man, my parents really went through that. And it was like, it blows my mind sometimes.
Yeah, it makes you want to just pick the phone up. You
Exactly.
pick the phone up and be like, look, I'm sorry. I didn't need to.
I mean, I'll be real with you. Ever since I've had kids, I literally don't go a day without calling my parents in the morning and talking to them 10 to 15 minutes.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
So I just, you know, I think that's my way of just saying thank you. How's your day? How are you doing? Because for so long, they were the one asking me how I was doing. But me ever asking them how they were doing. So now I just, you know, pick up the phone every morning, just how you doing? How's your day going? You know, let's talk about some stuff. I mean, and I think that's been great for me.
You know, it's interesting. This is a realization that you come to later in life, right? Like once you become a parent, but does it also make you have grace for your kids when they don't always listen to you now? Because now I think back. So for me, like with my kids, I got to tell them 12 times to do something or they're not listening or whatever. It's like, yeah, I get frustrated and mad because I'm trying to do something else. But I also have a little bit of grace there because I remember, okay, I was kind of the same way. Maybe I didn't listen and I didn't really get the importance of listening until I got older.
Yeah.
And so does that help you to think about maybe approaching your kids differently?
You know what? It does, but for me, it was a different way. It was it made me dig harder, if that made sense, because my parents never gave up on me and my brother making us do the right thing.
Okay.
So I know when my kids are not listening, I know I gotta keep digging because if I don't get that to them, when life hits them,
that's right,
it's gonna hurt them.
That's right.
My parents realized that about me and my brother. Like, no, it's certain value you gotta learn. Like, I can't have sympathy for you on this because if you don't learn them now, when you get older, it's gonna get you. You know, so with I'm getting better at it. My weakness is sometimes I can get caught up in my own feelings and I would withdraw back but now I'm getting to the point in how my parents were with me is you keep pushing. You push smarter, but you never give up on teaching those values. So when they're not listening, you're like, no. I might have to go a different avenue to get to them, but my goal is to keep pushing it because I know how important it is.
Ooh, that's deep. You know, it's interesting, man. Like you mentioned the concept of value and that aligns with like principles. And, you know, basically you think about like building blocks. And it's very interesting how you communicate that because you are a strength and conditioning coach with the most elite athletes in the world. Right. And so I imagine as you build and you help to rehab and you help to work on various things that someone may be dealing with, it kind of follows that same principle of, I know this is uncomfortable, but we got to do this so that you can rehab this so that you can get back to see how this thing connects.
It connects big time.
Wow.
I'm doing the exact same thing. Like literally, I think about it. I have in the world of strength and conditioning in the NBA, these athletes are so gifted. Let's be real. They don't need me to be gifted.
That's right.
Gifted. It is a blessing. So think about it. I got to come to work every day and I got to convince them that what I've learned in my skill set holds value to them. That's challenging, right?
Ooh.
That's challenging.
Ooh.
You know, because you come in and they say, look, I do things that nobody in the world can do. How can you help me? Well, I can help you with this. I can help you with that. I can help. So it's always to continue push. It never stops, right? That's what I love about my job in the NBA is you can never be comfortable, right? Every player is different. You're gonna get new players that come and go. So I'm constantly installing my values every single day. Like, you gotta dig in this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. And if you can I've been able to do it for going on 21 years. So I'm starting to figure out like in certain ways I know how to communicate with them. But it goes back to my kids. I'm constantly never giving up on teaching my values because I know if you get it, you'll be a better athlete. you'll be a better kid, you'll continue to grow. You know, and I thank my parents for that. They never gave up. They never gave up. Ever, when they could have.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you, it's so powerful because when you were talking about, and it just made me think about how challenging it is to take someone who's at the top of their game. It's kind of like, I think about that example of when Tiger Woods had already won majors and done his thing, and then he went through the process of breaking his swing down while he was at the top of his game, so that he could then accelerate and get better. Yeah. So most people will be like, dude, you're the best of the best. You're the best we didn't ever seen. Why are you tweaking this thing to go from here to get even better? Yeah. And that's kind of your day-to-day grind, in a sense of you're dealing with gifted, the top 0.1% of athletes in the world. You're dealing with them, and you're coming in day to day and saying, hey, I got something that can help you to get better, or I can help you to avoid falling, or I can help you to avoid from regressing. Exactly. And you have to get into the psychology of their mindset, because they're like, dude, I done been that dude since I was 6 years old. What you gonna tell me?
Exactly. Like, who are you?
Who are you?
Exactly.
I've been that dude since I was 6 years old. What you gonna tell me? But yet you found a way to do it because you've been doing this thing for 20 plus years. So that being said, let's go back to your backstory, because what you do now is amazing. What you got going on is awesome. But when we take this thing back, and you and I've talked numerous times, and you talk about, some of the things you struggled with academically, but yet how you then ultimately got an opportunity to start doing what you do, and now you're at the highest level. Walk us through that particular story, man.
I know I can't do this without mentioning my wife, right?
Okay.
So, because all throughout high school, I knew school wasn't easy. That was obvious. School wasn't easy for me. So I played basketball, and that was kind of that was my way of validating my journey in life. Like, okay, I'm not good at school, but I'm good at basketball. So Absolutely. I put all my energy in basketball. And I just remember being in classes, man, and just like, man, I would look at a page and like had no clue what it meant. The words was just scrambled. Just nothing made sense to me. Nothing. And I'm just like, is everybody like this? Or is this a growing thing? As you get older, finally it makes sense and you can read it. But I never could look at something or a book or something and just, it never synced in my mind. So, they deem me learning disability and said that, maybe just that's all kind of things that they said that I had. So they, and they just separated me. Right. They put me in classes where I never had to take tests. I never had to, I was hardly in the class with regular people in my peers. I never did that because I had a learning disability. So I just remember this was the low time. This was the low point. I remember everybody was talking about going to college and doing this and doing that and what degrees they made. And I remember thinking like, man, nobody's talking to me. Like, no teachers are saying, okay, where you want to go to college? What do you want to do? And I remember one teacher was like telling me like, you're great with your hands, so maybe you can go into construction. Now, look, there's nothing wrong with going into construction, but as a kid, how are you going to deem what I can do? How are you going to limit my growth by telling me I only can do one thing? And I think at the time, I don't think she was being mean or whatever it might be. I think she just looked at my skill set and said, because of what we see of you, this is a great avenue for you.
Absolutely.
So I guess being competitive, I played basketball in college and I just got through. I don't even know how to explain it. Like I went to class and never skipped class. I struggled through school, but I think it was my heart and my instincts were telling me, keep going, keep going. All right, if you flunk that test, that's fine. Just keep going and keep going. So I never let it stop me from growing. But basketball helped me with that because whenever I was frustrated, I would lean towards basketball.
Absolutely.
So I would spend, Mike, when I tell you, I would spend hours in the gym. And people thought I was practicing like he's trying to be. No, that was my way of letting my frustration out. Some people, everybody's got different stories. Everybody's, might turn to drugs or whatever. For me, it was basketball. I used basketball to all the pain that I struggled with in school, basketball was my savior.
Mm.
You know.
Mm.
So, and I actually got pretty good at basketball in the process.
Absolutely.
So I remember I met my wife, and I remember this. I had to write a paper. And I remember,
was this in high school or college?
This was in college. This is in college.
Okay, gotcha. So you transitioned already to college. Gotcha.
Yep. So in high school, I got through. I graduated. I went to college, and then I went to play at JUCO, and then I went to a Division II school, and that's where I met my wife.
Okay.
And I remember I had to write a paper, and I remember her looking at the paper, and she was like, "Wow, you have a very good mind, but it's something missing. It's something." And she noticed it right away. She knows that I had a learning disability. It was just obvious.
Okay.
So I remember her saying, "You are very smart." And she explained this to me. And when she explained it to me, I think mentally I took off. She said, "You are just as smart as anybody in your classes. It's something chemical that's blocking you from going there. It's not your fault. Something that you were just born with. It's a hurdle block." Right? And I think mentally I was like, man, okay, damn, I am kind of smart. I just do things differently, and I gotta move different.
Hold on, pause right there. And that's we gotta sit there for a second, because fellas, I want you to internalize what he just said. All along, he was an athlete, and he had gone to school. And when it was time to talk about colleges, they basically missed him with the conversation because everybody deemed him to not be, academically gifted, right? Or not to be leaned in, in the academic realm. But he ended up, doing well enough to get into JUCO and then go to a Division II school to play basketball. And when he met his wife, who would end up ultimately being his wife, she said that you're smart. It's just a different kind of smart, but you're smart. And it was like, almost like to me, it sounds like that was the first time that someone actually said,
exactly,
you're smart.
Exactly.
And so you never believed you were smart until she told you you were smart. And then it made sense. And you're like, you know what? Doggone it, I am smart.
Exactly.
It's just, and the power of that, especially with our kids, but even with us as adults, sometimes we have so many limited beliefs because we've never heard that we're smart. You've never heard that you're handsome. You've never heard that you're capable, or that you can build a business, or that you can go and impact crowds and travel the world. You've never been told, or you've never believed that it's possible. But the moment that thing unlocks, whew,
man, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, continue with your story though, brother. I just had to pause there. That was powerful. Yeah,
you said it great. It unlocked me. Like literally, I knew, okay, let's get this thing going. Let's grind. So I needed that one. That's all I need. I just needed, like you just said, someone to say, "Oh, you just do things a little different. Your mind thinks a little different. Now take that and do something positive with it." And what I learned from myself is that I'm not the smartest, but I got work ethic. So man, when I tell you, I just start. If somebody read a book, read a chapter, and they read it one time, I would read it 10 times. So I started to develop my work ethic. I started to develop, because I knew that was my key.
Hold on. You see, that's another thing. So because you didn't necessarily get things the first time that you read them, you had to read it multiple times.
Exactly.
And by you reading it multiple times, you then ended up learning it better.
Exactly.
Than the person who just read it once.
But I felt like I was the key, right? Because I feel like I had an advantage. I start to realize my advantages, right? I start to realize that it's easy for you because you just get it right away.
Okay.
And I'm not downplaying anybody, but you can afford to take a shortcut, right?
Ooh.
I can't afford to take a shortcut. So I gotta outwork you. And I start to realize that if I outwork you, I might not be on your level now, but you know what? I'm gonna be on your level and probably even better, because you know why I start to learn? Because I can deal with obstacles, right? I can deal with maybe not doing well on the test, but figuring out a way to do better. And I started to learn that my colleagues, they were so used to it being easy. Any little obstacle that came in their way, it was immediate drop off. Any little obstacle that came my way, I said, oh, I'm used to this. Okay, what's next? Let's figure out how to get through this. And I just kept going.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you what's crazy. Your story and my story were kind of like opposites a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So school was not hard for me growing up, and I did well enough to get into Georgia Tech out of high school and all of that. But I never really had to study a lot. It was just review your notes, do your work, whatever. That was it. I got to Georgia Tech and I didn't know how to study. I didn't really know how to academically work hard. And so I remember my first semester or my first quarter at Georgia Tech, my GPA was a 1.91 because I didn't know how to study. And so then I did okay that next quarter, but then the next subsequent quarters, I went from academic warning to academic probation to academic suspension, where they yanked all of my financial aid, and I had to call my grandma to pay my tuition that semester so that I could stay in school. All because I didn't have study habits, because I never had to work hard for it to work. It was just like, I'm just rolling off a natural talent and whatever. And so my story was the complete opposite of yours. I didn't have that. So the work ethic thing, I had to basically build over the years so that I can become better, because some stuff that came naturally ended up being a crutch to me.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I saw a lot of my colleagues do they kind of the same way. And you know what's funny is the more I studied, the more I fell in love with it. Because now I knew how to learn how to do it, and I got better at it through the work ethic. And I remember I was almost done playing basketball, and I'm like, man, what am I going to do? And it used to be this guy that used to come into the gym, and he would train us. I think he did it for free, and he would just train. I'm like, man, this is really cool. I was like, what do you do? He's like, well, I'm like a personal trainer, a strength coach. I help people get strong. He's like, so I just started spending time with him. And then I graduated from college, and I said, me and my wife was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to look up what it takes to be a strength coach, a personal trainer, whatever, and we're going to go do it. So it led me to Western Colorado, where I wanted to get my kinesiology degree.
Okay.
Me and my wife went, and it was great. And what was great about it is because we literally opened up a college book and like blindly just put our hands there. And I think God led me there.
Absolutely.
Like, you're going right there.
Western Colorado.
Wife, literally not having no plan at all. We just drove. We drove and rode in. And I remember going up to the coach and say, hey, can I just volunteer as a strength coach? She's like, we don't have one. Of course you can. So
in Western Colorado.
In Western Colorado.
Wow.
Never even been to Colorado.
Wow. And where did you all move from?
From Kansas. We were in Kansas.
So you were in Kansas. So you moved from Kansas to Western Colorado to get a degree in kinesiology. Y'all just picked this, and you know, God sent y'all in this direction for some reason. And you asked the coach when you got there, can I volunteer as your strength and conditioning coach? And he said, we ain't got one, so you might as well shoot. Come on.
And I literally was like, so funny. I think about it now and I laugh. I literally had no idea what strength and conditioning was.
Okay.
I literally was just going off my experiences. Like, okay, when I played basketball, I did this, and I just did it.
Okay.
You know, so and over time, of course, I got better. But my journey to the NBA started right there. This is the craziest story. I used to go to this gym and work out. And the guy that owned the gym one day came up to me and said, hey, I'm going to Denver to meet this guy. Do you want to come? I'm like, yeah, cool. I don't mind. He said, we're going to talk about strength and conditioning. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. That's what I want to do. So we drove to Denver, which is 4 hours away.
Okay.
3.5, 4. So we drove to Denver. And at the time, the guy was the head strength and conditioning coach for the Denver Nuggets.
The guy that you all were going to meet.
Yeah.
That knew that the gym owner knew in this place in Western Colorado that you and your wife randomly picked to go for you to study kinesiology.
Exactly.
Okay. Continue.
We drive to Denver. We have a great conversation, a great lunch. And the guy that I was with, actually, he was going there I believe he was going there to ask for a job.
Okay.
So Steve, who was the strength coach for Denver Nuggets, said, look, I can't hire you, but I can give him an internship, him meaning me. I'm like, I'll take that any day. He said that this is the thing, you have to start now. Now, granted, I'm in college and I'm 4 hours away.
Wow.
So I remember telling my wife, she was all excited. She's like, yeah, you got to do it. I was like, well, Steph, I'm going to get there. She's like, just got to make it. You know, so
4 hours away.
Bro, I would drive 4 hours there, do practice, drive back, do my classwork.
Every day?
And I did that almost every day unless they traveled, because I didn't travel. Ooh. And I was like, exhausted.
Hold on, pause. 4 hours each direction.
One way, do practice, drive 4 hours back.
And you would do that almost daily?
Almost daily. I did it just enough so I can finish school, because I wasn't done with school.
And how long did you look? Because I know we talked about this before.
My wife says I exaggerate the story, but trust me, I'm not exaggerating the story. I believe it was a semester and a half.
So like
my wife like, no, I think it was half a semester or maybe a semester. It was a semester and a half.
It don't matter. If you did that for 2 weeks, driving 8 hours a day for 2 weeks.
Oh, it was crazy. Dude. It was crazy. But you know how it is. When you're in the moment, all I thought about was opportunity.
That's it.
I didn't think about anything else.
Wow.
All I thought about, look here, I went from a high school kid with a learning disability to an opportunity to work for a pro team. I drive 10 hours one way if you want me to.
Wow.
You know.
Wow. So you literally for a semester and a half, you drove 4 hours each way to go intern with the Denver Nuggets while you were working on a degree in kinesiology in West Colorado.
Yep. And I just remember like when it was all over and my internship was over and I was praying. And before I can even pray, Steve's like, we want to keep you on as an assistant. And I was like, and then I just took off. I think a year and a half later, I went to the Clippers. Then I went to the Rockets, and now I'm here with the New York Knicks.
Wow. Hold on. But hold on. Stop. So this 4 hours each way for whether it's a half a semester to a semester and a half, however long it actually was, it don't matter. You spent time doing that. You committed to it due to the opportunity. And after your intern was up, they offered you an assistant trainer position with the Denver Nuggets. Now, were you finished with your degree at that point?
I was done. Yep, I was done. So it was just, I was done. My internship was up. That was the last step of finishing my degree. It was just basically time to get a job. And
that's when you were offered the assistant position with the Denver Nuggets.
But you know what's interesting about that story that blows my mind to this day? Steve, unbelievable. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better mentor and a better person. I thank him every single day in my prayers because without him, this wouldn't be possible in my career. But I remember talking to Steve, and Steve told me this, and it blew my mind. He said, Rich, I never take calls from random people calling me. Ever. He said, I never sit down and have a meeting because I'm just too busy. It's not that I'm being mean. I'm just a busy person. But something told me that I need to take this call with you and this guy. And then when I started working, I understood. He never took calls from any random person. He just didn't have time. So it blows my mind because to think that God told him, take this call. Change this kid's life.
But what's interesting? It's sometimes we make things bigger than they are in a sense that from a decision perspective, when we look back on it, we know that call changed the trajectory of your family's life for generations to come, right?
Yep.
But in the moment, it was just, hey, I'm just taking a call. You know what, meeting, I got an availability. I'll take this meeting. You two are here. This guy's trying to interview for a position. I don't have a position, but you know what? I got an intern position I can bring on. And so he probably never thought about it where I'm trying to bring this person along to change his life. He was just like, yo, I got an intern position. You seem like you fit. I like what you got going on.
Yeah.
Do you want it? Right. Yeah. And it's amazing how seemingly small decisions have big impact, right? Like a lot of times we always think about the big things.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the big whatever, the big dude. It's the small things that matter. But I have a challenge that I'm actually reframing that conversation because the small things lead to big lifelong opportunities. Are they really small things then?
Not at all.
Not at all.
No, not at all.
We say they're the small things. Oh, I just picked the phone up. That was him picking the phone up, taking that call was the moment. That was the catalyst that jumped all this thing off.
Exactly. You're totally right. And you know what? I use that philosophy, what you're talking about, I try to use it for my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
What I do and who I talk to and who I help and who I text,
Mm-hmm.
you never know how it's going to change their life.
Oh my gosh,
Right?
dude.
Think about that. Think about that all the time. You never, like, I give you a perfect example, right? And we can talk about this as we go. But I'm trying to do a project in Africa where I'm trying to bring strength condition along in Africa. So the guy that I'm working with, his name is Amadou, a wonderful man. He's basically the president of the BL. And he said, Rich, I want you to contact this kid. He's based out of he's African. He's from Senegal. He's in New York, and he's trying to make it as a strength and conditioning coach. So I gave the kid a call, and we just been dialogue. We've been talking about strength and conditioning, and it's been great. And I get a little emotional because he's just like, man, I'm living in New York, and just it's barely making it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
And just now, I had the opportunity to maybe bless him with an assistant job with the G League team.
Oh wow.
So, but it makes me think like, man, I'm doing what Steve did for me. Think about what I have the opportunity to do for this kid. If he gets this job, his life would never be the same. And that's in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm starting to learn to take calls, send a text.
Yes.
Man, because it goes so far. Whether you're giving knowledge, whatever you're giving, it just goes far. I remember when Steve would text me, how good it made me feel that he was just texting me. And he would just text me and be like, hey, look, I don't know if you're going to be able to travel. I didn't even care about that. Mm-hmm. All I cared about is that this guy took the time to text me.
That's right. That's right.
You know, it's just beautiful, man.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what's so powerful, and this is some, this is Black Fathers Now. So, we're specifically having conversations with inspirational, Black men who have done amazing things, but we're speaking to the soul of other Black men, right? Yep. And the thing is, what you said is so important because so often we need somebody to encourage us. Yeah. We need somebody to open up a door for us. We need somebody, dude. I had a manager. Well, he was my regional business director years ago who worked. He was with an organization I used to work for when I was doing pharmaceutical sales. And this guy took me under his wing. And long story short, when opportunities presented themselves with the organization, I was able to go all over the country and represent this major Fortune 100 company doing these different events and all. And after we both had left the company, he still served as a mentor of mine. I called him and I was just like, dude, there's really nothing special about who I am and what I've done. Why was I fortunate to have these particular opportunities? And he looked at me and he said, I was just doing for you what they've been doing for the white boys for years.
Wow.
I was just letting you see the other side of what this thing looks like. And I'm just like, that thing sent chills up my spine, and it does to this day when I think about it, because it's the responsibility of us to pour into others, to encourage others, to open up the door for others, to create opportunities for others, to connect others with individuals so that we can expand this thing in a way that others might not have done for us. And so it's a responsibility, man.
It's just without a doubt. It's a responsibility. And I think it took me a while to learn that because I was so stuck in my growth in my career because of what all I've been through. I knew from the learning disabilities to school being hard, I knew I could never take the pedal off. So I was tunnel vision. Like for 15 years, literally tunnel vision. Like all I thought about every day is my career. How can I get better? And what do I need to learn? How hard do I need to study? That's all I thought about. And I think recently over the last couple of years, I think I woke up and said, you know what? It's time to give back. It's time to get back. It's time to get back to my own kids.
Absolutely.
It's time to take this journey that I've been on for so many years and take people on this journey with me.
Ooh.
And teach people how to take this journey. I literally just over the last couple of years with my kids, like I used to be like, man, I couldn't say that I was a bad father at anything, but I could say that I never took them on my journey.
Man, it's so interesting that you put it that way, because the whole concept of taking others on the journey with us is so important. Tupac said it ain't no fun if the homies can't have none.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think about success and how horrible would it be for you to be the only successful person?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be, going to a private island is cool, but I don't want to go there by myself. I want to bring some folks with me. I want us to all be on the private island kicking it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And the other part to it is, I heard it's a speaker, it's a professor, I think he's out of Kenya. His name is Patrick Lumumba. And one of the things he said was true success is when your successor succeeds.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. It's just like, yeah, I want to do my thing. I want to impact the world, impact millions of people, use my gifts to the full magnitude of what I've been blessed with. But the flip side of that, I want to bring people along. Yeah. And I also want to create a pathway for successors. We're building a bridge for those that are coming behind us. That's what we do. And if we don't do that, we're only living in a part. We're only basically exercising a small piece of who we are if it's just us. Because, truthfully, if it's just about you, flossing and doing your thing, pretty much anybody can go in and be like, yo, I'm going to be successful and I'm going to do it for myself, me only, right? If that's your life, you can do that. That's not hard. It's challenging when you got to do it and you bringing everybody along. So to me, that really shows the gifting of someone who's really doing the doggone thing at a very high level. Who else are you helping?
Exactly. And you think about it. Think how many kids that struggle with school, man.
Yes.
And think how many just kids, like I went to Africa and I thought about working with the kids, with beautiful kids, man. But I'm just like, man, they don't have resources. That think of, and I told someone the resources ain't got to be financial all the time.
No.
To be like, think how much it meant to them for a guy to come and talk to them from across the world, to take his time to say, man, you can do this for a living. What I'm doing, you can do for a living. And you don't have to be you don't have to be the 1%er.
That's right.
The player. You can literally do this and have all the benefits and all the things that you see on TV and the NBA. You can be a part of that without having to be the 1%er.
Wow.
And you could I regret I didn't help earlier. I didn't have vision earlier but I put all my faith in God. He
That's right.
Put me on a journey. He groomed me at the right time to do what I'm doing at this time.
That's it, dude. And I'm gonna tell you, I was gonna jump in there and tell you to do not regret, because everything happens at the time that it's supposed to happen.
Exactly.
Right. Had you had the opportunity, or had this thing been presented to you, 10 years ago, or you had kind of been planning it 10 years ago, you probably wouldn't have been ready 10, 12, 15 years ago to do this. But at this stage of the game, with everything that you've built your body of work, you've actually gotten to a point in which this is the right time for you to move in that direction.
Exactly.
That's right. So again, you're the strength and conditioning coach for the New York Knicks now. Before, you were the Nuggets, and then that crazy, amazing opportunity led you to be with the Clippers for a long time. And then you were in Houston, and now you're in New York doing your thing. But you mentioned the whole concept of bringing strength and conditioning to the continent of Africa, and this vision that you have to leverage what you've done to really benefit, a lot of the, the brothers and sisters on the continent, and allow them to see things from a different angle. Do you want to talk a little bit about, your vision with this project?
Well, it really started off with all the African athletes that I had the privilege of working for. And we would have these long conversations, and we would talk about what does Africa need from professional sports standpoint. And all of them, it was obvious. It's like, Rich, we have no strength conditioning infrastructure. That's something that for us to go, because in the NBA and in America, the strength and conditioning is just taking off.
Absolutely.
Such a high level.
Absolutely.
And all these players, number one thing for us to gain, this advantage and be able to use sports to to create better lives is that we have to improve the sport itself. Everything that comes around it.
Absolutely.
Right? Like the strength and conditioning is just not there. And it was like, bing, but it went deeper than that. It was always about the ecosystem. It was always about creating jobs. It's always about creating different avenues for kids to go down. So my mindset was never to say, oh, I'm going to go take all these African athletes, I'm going to make them better athletes. No, my goal was to say, I'm going to take that kid who can't. That was me. I'm just going to put myself in that position. That was me that like, look here, I'm only going to play until my time's up and then I'm going to go do something. You know, so I'm going to take that kid, I'm going to show him a different avenue, and I'm going to say, hey, let's groom you to be this, if that's what you want. And let's create a whole bunch of them across Africa. That builds the ecosystem.
That does.
It gives a different avenue that creates jobs. You know, not only does it create jobs, you want to go from the business standpoint, if you have more strength and conditioning coaches, more nutritionists, more trainers that are catering to the players, make sure they can perform at a high level, that also increases the leagues in Africa.
Come on, dude, I'm going to tell you, and this goes into part of the conversation that you and I have had in regards to bringing perspectives and opportunities, you know, to the continent, but you're also doing it from the standpoint of helping to build that ecosystem and infrastructure so that, because historically speaking, there has been this trajectory of folks coming from the outside to come and poach and basically pull out raw materials from the continent of Africa. You come and find this raw, unrefined athlete that's 7 feet tall in Senegal, and we bring him to the US and refine him. And now we have this, you know, this product. It's not about going and pulling raw materials and exporting them and then someone else benefiting. It's about them helping the continent and the various countries and the people there to create infrastructure so that they can produce end products, refined products. They can produce strength and conditioning professionals and trainers and coaches and all of that come out as full, refined, finished products ready to go to compete on the global market versus just the raw material that has to be extracted, because then the countries don't benefit. And that's been a challenge with and you probably can, you know, spoke to that, you know, on your recent travel to the continent with multiple countries or whatever. That's a challenge. And that's why, like, on my end, when you hear people talk about Africa, a lot of times people aren't talking about it from the standpoint of how do we help to build and create that infrastructure. A lot of people are coming in looking to poach because they see, okay, 1.3 billion people, 70% of the people under 15, and they're looking at from a business opportunity to extract. You're looking not to extract, but to pour in. That's the thing that really, it really made my heart warmed when we spoke about this before.
Exactly, and that's exactly what it's about. I'm not taking anything. I want to give you knowledge of what I do. I mean, if you want to keep it simple. You know, and I want you to take that knowledge and I want you to grow it with my guidance and to continue to grow. And my job, I was telling when I was in Africa, they asked me what was my end vision. And I told the guy, I said, my end vision is when I wake up and I see a kid with a higher education that's a strength and conditioning coach, either in the NBA or in Africa. And he's journeying the world, and he's venturing out, and he's learning all these new things and meeting all these new people, and this whole world that's now, they told him that you only can be in this one world. You can't venture out like they told me. Now I look at this kid just venturing out, and he's giving back to Africa, and he's starting a gym in Africa, and he's working with clinics and teaching strength and conditioning. That's the vision. Right? Now give us 30,000 more of those all across Africa.
That's it.
We create a huge change. Think about that. Think about having these kids that you took their lives and they told them that you only could do this. You only can be in this one spot and do this one thing, because that's what Africa does. And you give them another way, and you just tell them, just go grow more of you. You can't put a price on that.
No. It's like the seeds are planted. You're here to water, give them sunlight, to nurture the environment. And then you're just like, all right, now seeds, y'all go drop some seed in some other places. Let's create this whole infrastructure, like you mentioned. And it's not just about players, it's about the whole infrastructure, the whole ecosystem of what this brings, and how this also helps to improve livelihoods, helps to improve health, helps to improve wellness, helps to improve outcomes, everything. And again, these are finished products that you're looking to help to create, not extraction of raw materials. You're here to help create and produce finished products which can compete on the global scale, on the global stage.
Exactly.
Powerful, dude. Woo. Dude, your story is amazing, man. Like, and I want to ask, as we kind of get close to wrapping this thing up, man, your experiences, you know, your journey as a strength and conditioning coach, and the obstacles or the hurdles that you've overcome, how that led to, you know, the opportunities that you have now. And then, you know, your wife and your parents and your brother and all of that. How have these experiences come full circle to impact you as a father, specifically a Black father?
It's just, man, you always want to leave that. I don't know how to explain it, but you always want to take all these experiences and you just want to just breathe it into your kids, you know,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And it made me realize the impact of been a great father. My dad was a great father, man. My mom was a great mother. And that impact, that right there made me just like, it meant everything to me. It made me everything. So I keep that always in the back of my mind and in my heart. If I can just be a great father, be a great listener, be a great, you know, time spender, you know, all those things my parents did for me, it got me here. So why wouldn't I do that with my kids? And granted, it's challenges. Don't get me wrong. My job offered challenges, travel and all that stuff. But if I can pick up the phone and tell my son, man, you know what I'm doing today? I'm in Africa. I'm at the Seed Project working with these kids and like trying to show them like what I do. You might not think it, but the kids, they take that, you know, it just sinks in there. They're like, man, Dad's helping people.
Wow.
Man, Dad's trying to create something for people who don't have something.
Absolutely.
So that alone as a father makes me want to do more, you know? I want them to see that.
That's right.
Because I saw my dad wake up every single day, go to work when he was tired, but I saw the benefits of it because we never had to ask for anything. We never not needed anything. We had everything we needed. You know, so if my kids can see me helping someone, helping a continent, helping someone get a job, it just sinks in there. And you just natural follow, right? You just natural follow the process. So my journey I want them to see my journey, see the struggles. So when it's time for them to experience it, they know what it feels like. You know, which they will. It's going to be times where they're going to need to help someone.
That's
There's
right.
going to be times where someone's going to tell them they're not good enough. Just like they told their dad, like was told to their dad. Man, but my dad did it. My dad helped that person. My dad had a learning disability, but he still provides for us. What's my excuse? My dad did it. So you can't.
My dad drove 4 hours each way. My dad drove 4 hours each way to Denver.
So you can't tell me it can't be done, and I can't do it because my dad did it, and I'm an descendant of my dad. So you can't. Nobody can ever tell my kids they can't do anything because my dad's been there, done that.
Brother, there's a poem that I learned entitled "It Couldn't Be Done," and the stanza starts with, "Someone said it couldn't be done, but he with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he'd be the one who wouldn't say so till he tried."
There we go.
It couldn't be done. Like if you stop and you think about that, that's you. Somebody said it couldn't be done, but Richard with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but I'd be the one who wouldn't say so till I tried.
Exactly.
And you did it, brother.
Yeah.
So man, dude, like your story's amazing. Definitely, folks, when NBA season kicks up this fall, they'll be watching the Knicks and seeing all that. So if you see some dudes on the Knicks doing the doggone thing, and they like their bodies changed and they doing this and you can be like, you know what? I heard the story of the brother behind the scenes, got to help him with the agility. Somebody vertical and got up a little higher and all of that. They can be like, you know what? I heard the story of this brother, Richard Williams. Maybe he's behind the scenes making it happen, right?
I always take a bite of my humble pie, man. It ain't me. It's the family. It's the Knicks family, man.
There it is.
Do it together. I'm just a small piece of that.
Wait, look, man, you're a major piece of that, brother. And I appreciate you for sharing your journey, sharing your story. And definitely, like I said, folks, when NBA season kicks up, you can watch, the Knicks, and maybe you'll see Richard on the sideline or somewhere in the background somewhere. Yeah. But do you have any other, are you active on social media or LinkedIn or something where people can reach out to you?
I'm getting better.
You're getting better? Okay. All right.
I do have a social media. Somebody asked me this the other day and I couldn't even remember, like, I'm old school. I'm sorry. I have to apologize to the people because I'm getting there though.
Okay.
What I do is, it's RW Fitness and Training. Okay. That's my social media. That's my Instagram. So that's what I use mostly.
Okay. Gotcha. RW Fitness and Training. So I'll make sure to have a link to that. But, when you have the body of work that this brother has, sometimes you can just say, Google me. And I think when it comes to Richard Williams, training, NBA veteran strength and conditioning coach, I would just say, Google the brother. You'll find some stuff about him.
I'm out there somewhere, I think.
You're out there somewhere, man. Now, brother, man, I appreciate you, man. Again, you and I are going to continue our conversations.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of work to do.
We got a lot of work to do, man. But I appreciate you for sharing your journey, man. This is really going to help a lot of people. It's going to encourage people to not allow these hurdles to be anything that holds them back. You just need to do it. Nobody can tell you can't do it because doggone it, you can. And if you don't believe so, listen to the story of Richard Williams, and it's going to give you some motivation to do it. So, brother, thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Man, thank you.
No doubt, no doubt. Now, fellas, ladies listening too, make sure to follow Black Fathers Now on all social media platforms. Share this thing out. This is going to help somebody. And until next time, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And I'll holler at you. Peace. Sure. Yo, fellas, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And always, always, always visit blackfathersnow.com, as well as follow Black Fathers Now on virtually every social media platform you can think of. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Just follow us and engage with us, man. Look forward to hearing from you. And I guess until next time, I'll holler at you. Peace.